Well, I can give you the gut, and I can give you some data points as well. So
okay.
my gut is that that the independents here are far more conservative, at least certainly fiscally, than the city's reputation would have you think. In 2009, we had a couple of propositions on the ballot, two tax increases, Proposition 1A, Proposition 1B. And Proposition 1A lost in San Francisco, was opposed 58%. And I often joke that I think we actually have found the limits to government when San Francisco has actually voted against a tax. But that's that's the truth. And I think in this environment, people are finding their fiscal roots. So here you have a situation where you have people being fiscally conservative and a little more moderate to liberal on social issues, and that tends to fit in very well with the message of this campaign, which is what the libertarian positions.
All right, let's get back to Nancy Pelosi. 1 out of 5 Democrats say in a poll they will not vote for her this coming election. Reasons: hypocrisy on Afghanistan. Doesn't matter where you stand. She's been a hypocrite on it, using class warfare as a tool. What about the whole CIA scandal and waterboarding? She supported it. She knew about it, and then when it became a political hot button, she said, I didn't know anything about it. And then it turned out she did know. She said, yeah, I did know, but I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't speak out about it. And then we got stories on how she did speak out on some things that the CIA was going to do, and she was successful in stopping some things. So is that part of the consciousness in the district that she was also a hypocrite on that she lied?
It's very high in the consciousness of the Republican base. It's relatively high in the independents. I think she gets a pass from the Democrats on that. I tell you what she doesn't get a pass from on the Democrats, though, is she doesn't get a pass on her record on civil liberties. She doesn't get a pass on. There's a little known story that's sitting out there that again has not been addressed by the Chronicle, that the NSA was actually wiretapping American citizens without warrants prior to 9/11, and they were doing that out of the Folsom Street branch of AT&T. Now, she's never answered the question, never commented on it, but very few people think that could have happened without Nancy Pelosi knowing about it. And I think the left is very upset. The crowd that's driven by protecting civil liberties is very upset about that.
All right, John Dennis, he's running first as a primary, and then his goal is to win that primary, run successfully, and beat Nancy Pelosi. I have to take a break. I want you to hang on, because when we come back, I'd like to know what it would mean to have you in Pelosi's seat, all right?
Okay.
All right, John Dennis. And by the way, his website, if you want to check out what he wants to do and what he stands for, is JohnDennis2010.com. That's 478-WDEL if you got a question, 478-9335. Your WDEL Delaware AccuWeather forecast. Guess what? Kind of cold. Surprise, huh? And let's see, high around 34. Tonight getting down to about 19. Wait a second here. John? Did you hear that? It's getting down to 19. You sure you want to come out this way?
Oh, you forget I lived in New Jersey.
That's right. You're born in Jersey, right?
Jersey City, yeah.
All right. Just double check it. Pelosi working hard to make it so illegal for you to buy a health insurance plan not approved by government that you could go to jail for it. Also expanding federal government faster than Bush did. And now we've got a guy, John Dennis, who is classic conservative, running in the Republican Party, has a primary first with Dana Walsh out there in California, and then taking on Pelosi. Even way out here in Delaware, when I heard, hey, we've got a bright guy, a smart guy running against Pelosi, he might be able to win, I thought, wow, I want to hear about this, because Pelosi affects the whole country, and not in a good way. John Dennis, 2010-2010.com is the website. John Dennis is on the phone. We talked about Nancy Pelosi, John, and I want to know, okay, what do you bring to the table? What's it going to look like if you win?
Well, you're going to have someone who respects your individual liberties. You're going to have somebody who respects your property. You're going to have somebody who respects you. You're going to have someone who actually pays attention to the Constitution. You know, Rick, our opposition research folks have been going through all of Nancy Pelosi's statements, things that she's written, and for the life of us, we cannot find a single time where she's ever talked about protecting our individual liberties or showing respect for the Constitution. So what it tells me is that as opposed to being a limited republic, which is what the framers set up, what we now have is an unlimited government based on whatever Nancy Pelosi can get away with.
Well, there is a commonality amongst the left when it comes to the Constitution. You don't use that as a basis for lawmaking, for example, or for judicial decision. You use subsequent decisions in a variety of courts, and that way precedent in court overrules anything that's in the Constitution. So now we have this layers and layers and layer of judicial onion, if you will, that supersedes the Constitution. And you can go back and read the Federalist Papers and decide what you believe is to be the original intent of the Founding Fathers, or you can just make fun of that, which many on the left do, and say, oh, well, nobody really knows what the original intent is. You can debate that, too. But that's the way it's been working over the last few decades, especially since the 1940s.
And I'm afraid that we have these checks and balances in the federal government, at least theoretically. And the check and balance on the expansion of the federal government itself were states' rights. I mean, that's the states formed the union. And I'm afraid that we've forgotten some bottom line fundamental principles that allow the states to ignore some of the edicts that come from the Supreme Court. And I think you're going to see states reasserting themselves